Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about research-backed ways or research-based ways that men can get into relationships. This is part of a two-part series that I made just quickly, 2 videos back to back, about the reasons why men are involuntarily single, some of the attributes, just some. I've made a video like that before, but I want to touch on it again so that we can get into the details of how to get out of these aspects. A lot of videos I make are informational, just for people to know, build awareness, but today I wanted to make a second part to actually help with what methods to do in a little bit more detail based on research. Both of the videos, the research is in the description box, but we're still going to talk about it in case some of you guys have questions or don't have access to it, because that's really important as well. Now, the first one is self-esteem, building self-esteem. And that was also the first point on the other video, and I'm going to talk about it. Low self-esteem reduces approach behaviors and perceived desirability. That's based on research. And I actually dedicate a lot of my videos to help men build self-esteem because I think it's very important, and I think it's a really huge factor into a lot of these aspects. As a therapist, low self-esteem affects a lot of marriages, a lot of individuals with mental health, and a person who's also studying my doctorate. I'm building my research slowly. I still have a lot to go, and I like to be very thorough, but I am noticing this is a barrier as well. And low self-esteem is something that I feel like once you really fix it, a lot of your life can improve, including relationships. So it's really imperative. And we're going to talk about some of the strategies today, briefly based on research, as well as some of the therapeutic methods I use in therapy. This is not a substitute for therapy, right? Like, I'm not your therapist. I'm just making a video, and you guys know that. I know you do, but I just wanted to say it. So the first one is to set achievable small goals. Now, a lot of people struggle with this one, and it's good to be ambitious, and I appreciate ambitious people. And a lot of you folks who watch my video, I know you're ambitious. I read your comments. However, ambitious can affect you if you're setting yourself up for failure. For example, and if anyone's triggered by weight or numbers of that sort, you guys can click off or skip. Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds. Or you want to be more lean, okay? And you want to lose 50 pounds. 10 pounds was a bad example. That is a good goal. However, is it achievable if, let's say, you've been 50 pounds overweight for your whole life or for as long as you can remember? Maybe not. But I think what might be more achievable is to try to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds in a certain amount of time. Now, I don't study nutrition or whatever you want to call it, so that was just a simple example. But a mental health example could be that you want to be more social, right? You want to be more comfortable in crowds. Are you going to go ahead and jump on a karaoke night or whatever and start singing in front of people? That's probably not achievable. However, can you go to the diner near your house and have breakfast at the what is it called? The bar area? I don't even know what it's called, and I go there all the time. And you order something and talk to the people around you. Can you do that on, like, I don't know, one Saturday a month? That might be a little bit more achievable, right? By yourself, and then meet people. Or maybe go even smaller, and every time you go to the grocery store, don't use a self-checkout. Actually go to the cashier line and greet the cashier every time. Small, achievable goals. And it doesn't have to be even social stuff or financial things or physical health. It can be any goal that you want. Maybe you want to play basketball. You haven't played basketball in a while and it's getting a little warm outside. Maybe you can start pushing yourself to watching more basketball content to get more ambitious about it, whatever it is, and slowly build up to that goal, whatever it is you want to do. The next one is you want to limit your negative thoughts as well as become more aware of where they originated from. So for example, if your mom told you you're ugly, and I hope she didn't, but sadly this is not something uncommon, which is why I use that example. Maybe she told you you're unattractive, you're not good enough, you're a failure, whatever it is. Understanding that her saying that is her opinion and it's not reality is really important, because you have to detach yourself from what an unhealthy person says. I'm sorry if this is offensive, I'm not trying to be, but let's say somebody is mentally ill. Let's say they have a schizophrenic break or just a manic episode, and they start saying some very abnormal things that are not landing and don't make sense in reality. Are you going to sit there and take what they're saying? Probably not, and they wouldn't want that either. Once they're out of that episode, they would want you to understand who they really are, not who they were during their episode, right? And it's the same thing. No offense to your mother, not being offensive, but if she's saying something from an abnormal place, you listening to that, you're just becoming abnormal too. like nobody has the right to say that, even your mother. And there's better and more constructive ways to say that if it's even true. And so detaching yourself from what she said, but also limiting those thoughts, challenging them even. And that's why I make a lot of these videos, because I think some people don't like to hear the good stuff about them. I think there's a misconception that a lot of people, which there's some truth to it, they think better of themselves than they are. I think there's some truth to it, but if you have low self-esteem, you don't do that. If anything, you make like the worst assumption out of everything, right? I made a video about how men are intimidating, because men are. To a lot of women, men are just physically more intimidating. There's a lot of things about the lower, deeper voices, whatever it is. Men by nature are a little bit intimidating. That's normal, I think. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of men who are intimidating, they think it's because he's ugly or he's unattractive why women are not approaching him. Women don't approach in general typically, so that's not the reason. But your low self-esteem is really affecting you. Limiting those thoughts, challenging them, and looking at a more realistic version can really help, even if you need to look at research and science, which I think is helpful. The next one is limit negative interactions from yourself, including don't say negative things about yourself or others. And this one is particular. A lot of times when you say negative things about other people, it comes from the beliefs that you have of yourself and the world. So for example, if you're like, I don't know, rating people on their physical attractiveness on a numerical scale, which is your right. But a lot of people who do that, they're very critical of other people and critical of themselves, because you're looking at people from just one dimension, right? Humans are way more complex than just the way they look. And if you are just looking at it from a very black and white perspective, you probably do that with yourself as well, which means, let's say you don't get a good score on your exam. Now you think you're a failure, even though it's a huge scale. Let's say you wanted to aim for like a 97 or something, and you got a 72. Is there room for improvement? Yes. But did you fail? No, depending on the system that you use, etc. But that's just an example. It's important to be realistic and limit negative thoughts you say about other people. So that includes like writing really negative comments about some girl who rejected you or whatever. Like maybe she rejected you because she has a problem, like mental health wise. Maybe she chose that abusive guy because she's been abused her whole life. Not that it's a bad or good thing, it's a sad thing, right? And maybe you dodged a bullet, but there's no reason to add more negativity to your life when you're already struggling. The next one is you want to remove yourself from negative spaces. So let's say there are groups that predominantly hate or discredit people, or you guys make a lot of negative jokes. Sometimes that can, be bonding, but it's actually pretty unhealthy. And not all men do that. I think some men believe that making these negative jokes all the time can be bonding. I think for younger men that sometimes is pretty common, but as you grow up, I think it's more healthy to be with men who talk about more normal things, maybe their finances, what's happening in their family, maybe some investments they're doing, positive things or things that just are neutral. It can really help. The next one is recognize your strengths. You can even write a list of your skills, accomplishments, and positive traits. I make a lot of videos on this, and I do it for a reason. I think it's important. You want to also build a comfortable and manageable hygiene routine that you can stick to. It'll make you more confident, but also decreases some of that stress hormone. And then another one, of course, is building an exercise routine, a comfortable one, okay? Whatever is beneficial to you. Now let's talk about reducing social anxiety. The way that I like to do this is to gradually expose yourself to social situations. That's like the most common intervention, but it's because it typically works, okay? Social anxiety limits dating opportunities and increases fear of rejection. So how do we adjust this? I made a video on it, I think, but I'm probably going to make another one specifically for social anxiety, an updated one. I'll probably continue to do so. But to gradually expose yourself to social situations is to slowly practice having conversations in low pressure environments. Earlier I mentioned saying, like greeting all the cashiers that you see or whatever it is, maybe going to the grocery store at more heavy like traffic time. So going on a Saturday, that's a pretty heavy time. Another aspect could be like, don't force yourself to go to a party that has a lot of people. Maybe go to a smaller party. Maybe go to a meetup. Maybe build and go to like a career fair or whatever it is. So there are still people that are there. There's a lot of people, but they're more focused on other things. And then you can meet people in general. You can also build your career, but you can greet people, talk to them, build your skills, and learn to have those comfortable conversations. And you want to set small goals. Small goals. Maybe once a month you do something outside of your comfort zone that's a little bit hot, a little uncomfortable for you, but not too uncomfortable. So some people, they're comfortable in small parties, but not big parties. So if that's for you, maybe go to a bigger party. Now, if you don't like parties in general, maybe don't even start with a party. Maybe start with like a small meetup, whatever you consider a party. Be more manageable at this. That's why this one's a little hard to make a video on, because everybody is in a different area of their journey. Some people like have a little bit of social anxiety where they just don't like to talk about themselves, but they can listen to other people. That's pretty common. Then there are other people who they're uncomfortable even making eye contact. And so this is just something to keep in mind. The next one is you want to expand your social network in general. We want to, very similar to what we were talking about, excuse me, you want to join hobby groups, sports teams, volunteering. There's research that a lot of women like men who volunteer, by the way. I'll make a video on that separately, but if you guys are interested. Attend social gatherings regularly. You want to try and maintain friendships. Just send a text to maybe your buddy that you haven't talked to in a year. Just say hello, ask about it. And the other part that I think is really important is you want to remove and limit friends with other men who are continuously negative or a negative impact on your dating life. And I've made a video on this for women as well. If you're a woman who's in a relationship and you have a lot of female friends who are really negative and hateful towards the male population, they're probably going to ruin your dating life. And so it's the same thing with men. You want to hang out around men who probably are in relationships or have a good positive perspective and relationship with women. And the next one is you want to approach your social skills and emotional intelligence in a way to develop them. And we're going to talk about that. Empathy, communication, and responsiveness does increase dating success, to be honest, research-based. But you want to practice active listening, but also you want to talk about yourself as well. Find a way to have a balance depending on who you are. But a good way of rule of thumb is if you have something to say about that conversation, after they have a conversation about it or talk about it, make comments about what they're saying and then bring your version in as well so that you can have a fulfilling and connecting conversation, not just one-sided, okay? Develop empathy by perspective taking. Think about other people's perspectives. And a lot of people struggle with this one. It's really hard, especially when you're really negative and you've been rejected a lot. A lot of people struggle with this one. I challenge you guys to try it if you want, because it really will make a really big difference. Now, some of you guys don't struggle with this one, but some of you do, and I'm not going to lie to you. And then the next one is getting a little bit more comfortable with social cues. This one can be tricky to some people, but in general, reading facial expressions can be helpful. And I know there's no like manual on it. Well, maybe there is. I actually didn't look at it. Maybe there's a manual on it. If there is, let me know. But any sort of social cues, when somebody is angry or something and you notice an expression and then later maybe they say something irritating or irritable or expressing that they're frustrated with you, you can kind of keep it in your mind that that social cue prior is probably connected to how they're behaving now. And the last one is the one that I think a lot of you guys don't like, which is why I put it last, because maybe you guys are not ready. Approaching dating proactively. And this one is really challenging to a lot of folks. Often relationships begin when one person initiates, and very typically it's going to be the male. I'm just honest. So that means cold approaching. Practice initiating conversations. Maybe you don't even have to say, can I have your number? Maybe you can just attend social events. Now, full disclosure, which a lot of you guys know, I'm in a long-term relationship and he did cold approach me. He just came up, asked if I'm single, told me I'm attractive, and he wanted my number. That is what happened. And so does it work? I would say it does, because it worked for me and I've been with him for years. And so it's challenging and I respect that. The research is in the description box. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.